Okay. Anyway, if you've already been sitting here and you've already gotten your 5 breaths in, and if you haven't, just it's all about just coming into the room and to feel yourself here in the room. And that's almost like the first step towards learning how to be present. So if you want to breathe into that and practice it, and just learn how to differentiate between being pulled apart or pulled away to coming back and reconnecting. And as we do the last breath, and hopefully everybody is as present as you can be, and that's another thing, being generous and kind. As this whole crisis progresses, we're experiencing so many different emotions, swinging from one thing to another. And one thing might be for certain is that we're getting accustomed to this. I guess I should speak for myself. I kind of feel like I'm accustomed to the routine that like I've set up for myself, and I'm accustomed to living in a smaller world. But as all this news comes out and it's so uncertain, we can't help but feel fear. And often we try to push it away, but that only makes it more intense. So I just wanted to kind of tie together that sense of fear with being present with it. So being present with it is welcoming it, which is kind of like a duh kind of concept, sometimes hard to wrap your brain around. So I'd like to just take about, I'm going to say 10 breaths, negotiating that. And if you do feel fear, try to identify it. It's usually, as we've been talking about lately, like quick breathing, high frequency, and a sense of helplessness. So I turned to my mudra books and cards this morning, and there is a mudra, which is just another word for yoga, hand yoga. There is a mudra for fearlessness. So I thought for the next 10 breaths, we would just do the mudra for fearlessness. We're going to bend the right arm and just sort of bring all your fingertips together, all your fingers together, and a little cup of the hands. Your elbow can rest into your waist. And it's just a simple breathing and playing with the idea of fearlessness and what that means to you. And how, in some simple way, you could welcome it rather than fear it, because it's so justified and validated during this time. But if we manage to slightly diminish its impact or its effect on us, we can use this in our lives going forward, because there's always instances where fear floats in. So take another 5 breaths without me speaking. And after the next breath, just bring everything back, hands on knees, and allow whatever has happened, if anything happened. Could be nothing happens, but except for the fact that you're sitting here being silent and being with yourself. So moving on, whatever you're sitting on, just move that off to the side. I want everybody to take a really easy full Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. What I mean by easy is move your feet away from your body so that you're able to sit on a sound pelvic floor. And we already know the drill. This is sort of, it happens within a second. You feel your pelvic floor, you feel your spine rise, and you feel the crown of the head float away. And then we're going to fold from the tailbone and go as far as you can, follow or find your edge. With the feet further away, you'll probably be able to fold a little further. I mean, some of you may be able to get your head to rest in the arches of your feet. It's kind of interesting. And as we're here breathing, you're going to pull your tummy in on the exhale. And let your knees drop gently to the floor and send your attention to your lower back. After the next breath, walk your fingertips out in front, make your spine a little longer, and then take a little walk over to the right. Very little walk. So when you're starting a practice, you're often tight, you're often stiff. Your body doesn't respond as well. It's not heated up, so be kind. And then we're going to walk back to the center and over to the other side. Same idea. All about feeling the right side of your body. And if you want to, you can press that right butt or sink that right butt into the mat. Walk it back to the center, fold forward again. See if you can go a little further, but it's not about that. It's really about being present with where you are at the moment, even in terms of the body, particularly in terms of the body. And then we're going to slowly hinge it back up so that we sustain that lifting of the spine, natural curve of the spine, picturing corkscrew, and then taking a nice gentle twist to the right. So keep that visual of a corkscrew because it's very tight and close to the spine, and use your abdominals as you breathe. Pull your tummy in. And send your attention to whatever part of the body is speaking to you. Come back to the center and take it to the other side. So when I talk about conversation, that's exactly what I mean. You want to listen to the signals coming from your body, and they're coming in the form of sensations. So often we misinterpret that as pain. Coming back to the center, you take the right leg out to the side and tuck the left foot in. And it doesn't have to be way up towards your crotch, It can be further down. But what's most important is reaching through the heel and not punching through the balls of the feet, hopefully firing up the back of the legs. And again, a nice gentle fold forward. So clearly we're opening up hips first. And as we fold forward, it's always the same drill. We're folding forward from the tailbone. We're pressing the navel in towards the front of the spine on the exhale, and then trying to keep the spine nice and long, unrounded. From here, we're just going to take a little walk over towards the right leg, a subtle twist, using the breath, loving our edges, reaching through the heel, not punching through the toes, and taking the left hand wherever it reaches on that outside of the right leg. And again, big breath, pull the tummy in. So before we come out of this, wherever this hand is, leave it there for the time being. Take the right hand, we're going to thread it through over to the knee, and then bring the left arm overhead. So the tendency will be to pay attention to the edge rather than paying attention through to reaching through the heel. And that's okay. Once you get your frame, everybody's frame is different. Aim the left butt down and try to find the space above the hip below the ribs on the left. And then use your breath and the weight of that upper arm reaching through the fingertips, and go to your edge and use your breath and let that left side open. Hinging it back up Hinging, I'm using hinging on purpose, and we're going to switch. So whatever you did on the first side, you do on the second side. Fold from the tailbone. Use your abdominals. Keep your spine unrounded. Use your breath. Pull your tummy in. And after the next breath, walk it over to the left. It's a subtle twist. If your body is asking you to move in a certain way, move in a certain way. It's talking to you. Listen. And after the next breath, take the right hand wherever it goes. It can go here, it can go here, it can go here. And take that twist a little further. Make sure you're reaching through the heel, not punching through the toes. And whatever information you're getting from your body, listen to it. Interact with it. Breathe into it. So for now, just leave that right hand wherever it is. Take the left over to the opposite knee. And then you can bring that right arm over. Always understanding it's not about how far you go at all. It's about having the experience and learning the internal actions. So in this case, you want to learn to aim that right butt down, reach through the fingertips in order to find above the hips, above the hip, below the ribs, your waist. Take your breath and your attention there and lengthen. Coming back up, stay here. Oh no, sorry, wrong. Split. So early splits are a little different than later splits, as is the case with all poses. So again, if taking your legs out far compromises your seat, bring your legs forward, because it's not about that. What it is about is reaching through the heels, firing up the backs of the legs, learning how to internally rotate in your hips and pulling your tummy in simultaneously, so multitasking. As we fold forward, some of you have blocks. You can use blocks. I'll use a block. And the blocks can be turned up, they can be turned down, they can be turned this way, whatever you have at your disposal. Once you get to your edge, so take your time, because we're going to be here for 10 breaths. Try to rest your head so that all you have to think about are those 4 actions. Reach through the heels, fire up the backs of the legs, pigeon-toed in the hips, internally rotate, use your abdominals. As you do those actions, you might actually notice how you're able to go a little bit further or not, because it's not about that. It's about learning the actions of reaching through the heels, fire up the backs of the legs, pigeon-toed in the hips, or internally rotate and use your abdominals. I lost count, so I'm going to say 5 more breaths here. It can never hurt to stay in a pose longer anyway, at least in my world. And again, if any pose takes your breath away, it's just a signal to pay attention to your breath. And then we're going to hinge it back up, which may not be so easy. So however you can get up. And the beauty of this whole experience is nobody's watching, including the teacher. So we're going to bend the left knee, bring the arch of the foot around the right knee into this mermaid pose. Take an awkward twist to the right. And if any of this is challenging for you, please sit on something. Because the main focus of this is to get this connection. So we're going to be doing a lot with the quads today. And I want everybody to give their quads a little bit of a stretch. This is not like the most comprehensive quad stretch, but it is a quad stretch. And if you're able to roll into this hip, use your abdominals, go a little further if you choose to by walking around yourself. And abdominally contract. Come back to the center, other side. FYI, that's a psoas stretch too. Psoas, we can't walk without our psoas. Awkward twist to the left. And swing it over to the right, roll into the hip. And if that's all that you do to add to your vocabulary, then that is a big victory. Rolling the hip towards the opposite leg and then extending. Beautiful. So we're going to come back to an easy seat. Please use whatever you need to sit on. Just going to warm up the shoulders a little bit. Bring fingertips onto the shoulders, and we're just going to circle. So easy for 5 in one direction. You may hear a lot of noise. I do. And then 5 in the other direction. 2 more. Nice. Shake it out. Shake out the shoulders. Do whatever you need to do. Nobody can see. You can see me. But it's okay. I'm going to float the arms up. Hands together. Interlock your fingers. Pointer fingers together. By the way, this is a mudra, and it's the mudra of release. So what's interesting about this is the purpose of this particular pose, if you want to call it a pose, is to release the shoulders, release. So you're going to draw the arms back, see if you can feel the tops of the shoulders. At the same time, let the shoulders drop down. Wherever those elbows are, you're going to bend. And where the head hits the arms and the arms hits the head, that's your place of contact, and that's your place of isometrics. So we're going to press the back of the head into the arms, press the arms into the head. You might actually feel your shoulders release, which is like such a coincidence, the mudra of release. Using your breath and keep releasing those shoulders. Inhaling and exhaling, never forgetting to breathe. And if you want to really impress yourself, pull your tummy in on the exhale. So we're going to keep the hands back there, but we're going to interlock all the fingers. Take the hand, open the palms, place them at the base of your skull, a little bit above the base of the skull, and then just drop chin to chest. If you're feeling your neck, if you're feeling out to the corners of your shoulders and inside your shoulder blades, savor it. Bringing it back up, you can take the left hand on the right side of the head. Just place the right fingertips on the floor and drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Imagine miles and miles separating the right earlobe and the right corner of the shoulder. Nice. Bring it back and switch. So right ear to right shoulder, use the weight of the arm, extend the left fingertips down so that we're stretching away, we're lengthening away from the left earlobe. Nice. Inhaling and exhaling. And let it go. Whatever you need to do. Let's all meet in tabletop. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Swivel back and forth. When you come back to neutral, just going to do our cats and our cows. So this becomes just part of the practice. Chance to move. The chance to be less stagnant, but there's like a purpose for both. a purpose for sitting still, and a purpose for movement. After the next cow, inhale forward and then sit back on your heels. Inhale forward, sit back on your heels. We'll do 3 more of those. You can kind of think about this being a chance to practice flow. And after the last one, let's all meet in tabletop. Keeping the right knee bent, we're going to float it up. I'm going to take a minute here to remind everybody not to collapse in your arms. And the whole trick in this pose is to keep lifting the knee. So with the sole of the foot aiming up to the ceiling, keep lifting the knee. We're going to hold this for 5, strictly to fire up the glutes. Luckily, my counting sucks, so I have no idea where we are. We probably aren't even at 5. Going to lift and open your hip. Check in with your shoulders. Make sure they're over your wrists and you haven't collapsed. Keep lifting the knee to fire up the glute. Pay attention to that left arm because it's pretty sneaky. Now from here, just going to take that knee out to the side. This is where your arms really get sneaky because you're so focused on keeping that knee up, right? That they go, oh, she's not looking. So pay attention. Okay, now I'm going to take this right knee and cross it behind the left. This takes us into this cow pose. If you're not able to do this, for whatever reason, sit in Baddha Konasana. Sit in the pose that we started the practice with. If you can, just gonna separate your feet behind you, and I'm gonna face you so that you can kind of see your options. The full pose is walking the heels out to line up with the knees. You don't have to do that. Doesn't matter where your feet are, just make sure that they're both at the same place, that the left is in the same area on the other side as the right. And then for most everybody, you're going to lift your butt and move it over to the right. You're going to give everybody a chance to get blocks, to get a pillow, to make any adjustment you need to make. And again, another option is to just sit with the soles of the feet together and fold forward. So those of you in Baddha Konasana, folding forward will be okay. Those of you who are a little challenged in your Gomukhasana or cow pose, you're gonna look at me like I have 3 eyes. However, this is like the best hip opener. And we did do this on our backs the other day. Use your breath. Wherever you're feeling this, it is a hip opener, so my guess is that everybody is feeling it one way or another in their hips, and I'm hoping that that's the case. And then we're going to hinge it back up. So everybody can do a version of this. The left arm is going to come up. The right arm, you're just going to place it like elbow to elbow, but the right arm stays straight. So for those of you who can't do this pose, we're going to do it like this, and all you're going to do is take a twist to the left. Try to keep that right shoulder down. Those of you who can go into Gomukhasana arms, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders, and take a twist over to the left. Inhaling and exhaling. So the tendency might be to round your back a little bit. Try to unround your back. And come back to the center. I turned around to face you, so I'm assuming that all of you are facing, well, I don't know where you are. Anyway, I have to turn. So back here, all fours, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Left knee stays bent. Sole of the foot aims up towards the ceiling, and you're just going to keep lifting for 5. Generally, I don't like pulsing, but if you want to pulse, main thing here, pay attention that your arms don't collapse. So as you're sending all your attention to possibly the firing up of the glutes, your arms might be getting sneaky. And then we're going to open it out. And don't forget, on the exhale, pull your tummy in. When we come back to the center, we're going to bring that knee out to the side. Lift the knee to fire up the glute. Don't collapse in the upper body. Use your breath. Smile. And then we're going to take that left knee behind the right knee for your version of cow, Gomukhasana, whatever you want to call it, or Baddha Konasana. The heels never come further than the knees. We know this now. Pelvic floor, spine rises effortlessly, and the head just floats out energetically. And then folding from the tailbone. And if this is too much, don't do it. If just sitting in Gomukhasana is generating enough heat and sensation and information, that's the point. It's mostly internal rather than external. Actually, external, the shapes that we put ourselves in, is in order to learn the internal actions. Think about that a little bit. When we bring it back up, again, hinging, sitting up tall, right arm here, left arm kind of comes in here. If you're doing it this way, you can turn your head too. Or those of you who are doing Gomukhasana arms, cow arms, before you do anything, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders, so that you get a little stretch there. Come back to neutral and then take a twist to the right. We don't do this one very often, so you might start to feel different parts of the body. And in a way, that's what we're looking for, so that we end up sending attention and energy everywhere, especially when we get stressed. So this is about a lot. But at this time, it's really about learning how to manage stress. Back to all fours. Take a moment in child's pose. We're going to do our sequence. So prepare yourself. Some of you are still learning it. Some of you know it. You know it. We'll do it as a flow. And before we go anywhere, shift the weight back and forth, sending the signal to your body that we're going to move. And that's what it's about. So coming forward, inhale, upward facing dog, over the toes, downward facing dog, whoops. We're going to wave it forward. Inhale, wave it back. Exhale. Down to the knees, open the heart, and back to the heels. So I'm going to do 6 because I kind of consider the first one a demonstration. Inhale, forward and through. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Inhale. Really round that back. Exhale. Reach through the heels. Inhale. Open the heart. Exhale, back. 4 more. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Wave it forward to your plank. Wave it back to your dog. Down to your knees. Slide the blades down the back. Exhale. 3 more. Inhale. And exhale. Watch how this dog with the wave becomes a plank. Watch how the plank through the wave becomes a dog. Watch how through the movement, the dog becomes a cow, and then it becomes a cat. 2 more. Watch how inhale. That inhale becomes an exhale. That exhale now changes to an inhale, and then it flips and becomes an exhale. Inhale forward, exhale back, put it all together. So send your mind to the flow rather than the pose. And savor each movement. Feel every single part of the movement. Inhale and back to the heart. Back to child's pose. Stay here. Let your breath recalibrate. Shift back and forth. Turn the toes. Take a good toe bend. Stretch here. Swivel the feet back and forth. Walk it up. Only if you can do this. Let your toes bend. Feel the balls of your feet. Feel the length of the foot. Flexology is based on the apparent fact that your spine is represented in your foot, and therefore every part of the body is represented in the foot. So even just doing this feeds so much of your body. So we're going to make our way from here. You can keep your toes turned under, and let's find our way to a dog. I have to fix this shirt because it's really bothering me. Okay. Let's just stay here for a few breaths, taking advantage of the heat that we generated. See if you can slide into the knuckles. It's a very subtle action, but it serves a really good purpose of not putting too much weight in the heels of the hands. Separate your feet slightly and reach through your heels. So we're learning how to find the corners of our heels, specifically for this and a lot of other poses that are coming up. I'm going to swivel the heels over to the right and keep trying to stay long in your armpits so that you can take advantage of this side. Bend back to the center and over to the left, potentially feeling it through the right side, sliding into the knuckles rather than sitting heavy in the heels of the hands. Let's come back to the center. You can bring your feet hips width apart, just to give your hands a little love, if you want to call it that. You can do this one hand at a time. You could do both at a time. Just a way of identifying the knuckles that I'm always talking about. Make sure you're not hyperextending into your knees. If you have a tendency to do that, it's just like closing the valve, so energy can't pass through there efficiently. I'm going to drop the heels of the hands down. So I'm going to just float that right leg up, not too high. Come forward in a plank, shoulders over wrists. Cross the right ankle over the left. You don't have to do this. You can go to a regular plank. I'm going to stay here for 5 breaths. So I want to throw learning how to cylindrically wrap into your abdominals. So your abdominals are actually shaped as a cylinder. So when you're in a plank, you can kind of feel how that happens. And if not, please don't worry about it. Make sure your butt is slightly lifted so that you can actually use your abdominals and you're not feeling like you are dead weight in your hips. So here's the tricky part, guys. We're going to press this back to a version of a dog and walk the hands back. May need to readjust everything, so please take the time. And fold forward. After the next breath, let's walk the fingertips over to the left. Again, another side bend.
It's just nice to know which part of the body is being targeted so you can send your attention, but for the most part, your body tells you that. When we bring it back to the center, set yourself up so that you don't feel too wobbly, but if you do, pay attention to your feet and we're going to roll it up. So I'm going to turn around to face you, but you stay where you are. Floating the right arm up. Can't see me. Let me just fix this a little bit. Floating the right arm up, palm facing up to the ceiling. Take the left arm, hand underneath the wrist. Lift out and take a side bend to the right. Those of you who kind of have this, don't forget to reach through the heel of the hand. And then send your attention to the left foot. You might actually bring that beautiful arc into your consciousness. Come back to the center. Float the arms down. If you can get there gracefully, it's a beautiful thing. If you can't, again, nobody can see you. So you're going to bring it down. Now we're going to walk it back out to a dog. We're going to uncross the ankles. I'm just going to fix my shirt. We're going to slightly lift the left leg, come forward in a plank, shoulders over wrists, cross the left ankle over the right, or not. And of course, if the crossing of the ankle sequence throws you off too much, don't cross them. You can do everything without crossing them. And as I was talking, if you're in the right shape, your abdominals contract automatically. If you want to make them contract automatically, just pull your tummy in on the exhale. You're gonna jackknife it up to your dog and walk your fingertips back. So a lot of people misunderstand that getting from one pose to another is a big part of the practice, if not the most important, especially as we age. And we're going to walk the fingertips over to the right. I'm going to switch my position here. So when you come back to the center, let the arms hang heavy. If you can. If you can't, uncross your legs. Something's not right. That's it. So, right arm comes up, underneath the wrist, up and over. And if you're a daredevil, and if your body wants to, you can lean towards the right a little bit. Shift the weight and reach through the heel of the hand. And use your breath. Inhale, exhale. Feel like you're pulling the shirt out of your pants on the right. And then we're going to bring it back. Lower the arms. And everybody's going to end up just standing and facing me. Let's see, I gotta stand over here. So, feet are hips width apart. Gonna float. I always say it that way because you want to be mindful of the whole action, right? That's what I was saying before. We tend to neglect the transitions when the flow is about transition. So it doesn't matter if the transition is fast or slow. So as you lift the right knee, hold on underneath. Balance challenges show up in many different ways. Mine shows up with my left foot being very wobbly, so I have to concentrate. Left arm comes out to the side, right knee out to the side. Only as far as you can go without disrupting the squared relationship of your hips. And then we're going to take the left hand on the outside of the right knee. Whoop. And kind of twist, kind of standing twist. Use your breath. The longer you can stay in that standing leg, the stronger it gets. Inhale and exhale. And bring it back. Drop it. Shake out that standing leg. Right. Lift the knee. Hold underneath. Pay attention. Concentrate, concentrate, concentric, come back to the center. Use your breath. Inhale, exhale. So we're going to do something different on this side because I just thought of it. So let's play, let's play that fearless mudra. So bring the right arm up, palm slightly cupped, elbow into the waist. And 5 breaths with the knee out to the side. And just channel whatever fearlessness means to you. For 5 breaths. We're going to bring that right hand on the outside and bring the other arm out to the left. It's a little challenging here. But again, the longer you can stay in this, the stronger the standing leg gets. And that's what it's for. And bring that foot down. So here's where we're going to get a little fancy. I'm going to turn so that you can see. One more balance. Standing on the left. You're going to bend the right knee. Now, fair to say we didn't open quad, so I'm not going to expect you guys to go too far with this. And if you get a cramp, just let it go. Or breathe into it. So I'm going to just leave it at this. And you're going to bring that left arm up. Leave it here. And if this is a challenge for you, just stay here. Find a mudra. Find a place to settle your eyes. If you want to play a little bit, whoops. So I'm not going to go too far. Up. And I keep losing my balance out to the edge of my left foot, so I have to concentrate on that a little bit. Just one more breath. And other side. Bending the left knee, holding on to the foot, the ankle, wherever you can reach. If you can't reach, you can use a strap if you have it. You can modify this however you want because the most important part of this is giving your legs a chance to support you, right? So that's the lesson. It's not creating this pose to be admired or anything like that. Beautiful. And bring it back. Find your way. I think we're gonna, let's see. You're gonna find your way to the front of the mat. And as I did mention, quads, and I can't teach you these tried and true quad openers because I need props. And I kind of have to make sure that you're doing the right thing, otherwise you can get hurt. So I kind of have to rely on this pose, and you'll see in the monkeys, in the half monkeys, that we can also fire up the quads. In this case, it all depends on your range. The full pose is to put your hands, fists in your arches. If you can't do that, find something. You can also put your hands here and just swing through like this. You know, in fact, let's do it that way. So just lean back, fingertips on the floor. I just want everybody to practice the swinging aspect of this. So you're just swinging your pelvis through, and you might actually feel how that pulls your quads into the equation. And we're just going to stay here for a few breaths, continuing to swing so that we may go a little further. And then we're going to bring it back down. So we're going to do 2 more of those. Swing through. If you feel like you could go a little further into this, you can walk your fingertips closer to your feet or not. And 1 more. Swing it through. Never drop your head back. Always keep it in line with your spine and use your breath in your abdominals. Nice. And come on back. So we're at the front of the mat. Come to a hang. Stay here. Feet or hips width apart. Take about 5 breaths to press the balls of the big toes down, outer edges of the heels apart. You can almost feel that action, widening your buttock bones, eventually bringing heat to your sacrum. So I repeat all this because hopefully there'll be a progression as you learn these internal actions that produce more information and more of a connection and more of an awareness of yourself. After all, we are our bodies. And then you're just going to soften your knees to bring it up. Bring hands to the heart. 3 preps, just with the arms and the folds for sun salutation or movement. Inhale, bring the arms out and up. Exhale, swan dive, fold forward. Inhale, reverse, swan dive, meet at the top. Exhale, back to the heart. Just 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, reverse your swan dive and back to the heart. 1 more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and back to the heart. We're going to inhale, bring the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward, fingertips on the floor if possible. Bend your knees, drop your butt, find your chair pose variation. So we're not lifting the arms here. We're just going to do 2 more. Butt goes up, head goes down. Take a stretch. Then sit. More contact here. Butt up, head down. 1 more. Sit down. Unround your back. And last time. Stay here. With the fingertips on the floor, you're going to extend your spine. So just lengthen a little bit and get longer. You're going to step the left foot back. Drop the knee. Everybody bring your hands on the right knee. I have to give you this visual because I can't see if you are square, but I want you to think about squaring your hips off. Sometimes putting your hands on your hips and feeling your hip bones really works. So if you're not sure, just use that. And of course, you're not being tested, so nobody's judging. And we're going to just stay here because I want to go really deep so that we fire up the quad. Come way up on the ball of the right foot, and you'll notice how that allows you to go very deep into that right hip. And then you may actually feel this. 1 more breath. When you drop that heel, it's going to kind of force you to come up, which is great. But now that we hopefully fired up that quad, when you bring the arms up, you can feel the lift out of the back quad. Back quad. Right. From here, take the hands behind the back. We haven't done this today, so we're going to take 3 breaths. Keep the elbows soft. And think mostly about squeezing between the shoulder blades, opening up across the collarbones. Try to stay open, and you're going to fold forward just until that right shoulder rests on the right knee. No big deal. And even if you can't get there, just go as far as you can. You're going to extend the fingertips out in front and see if you can drop the right shoulder inside the right knee and take a little walk over to the left. If you visualize a clock, you're walking your fingertips to like 10 o'clock. And then the whole idea here is to unround your back. And if you unround your back, you might feel that corner in the right butt. That's your SI joint. If that's working for you, you can lean into it and extend out of it and send a lot of love to that corner. When we bring the fingertips back on either side of the front foot, leave the left hand where the left foot would be. Don't change anything, just twist to the right. And here's where we need the corner of that left heel. You're going to lift the knee and reach through the corner of the heel. And here we are. Use your breath. Make sure that that right knee is over the ankle. One more breath. Bring the both hands down. Step the left foot next to the right. Take a nice, gentle fold. Let's stay here 5 breaths. Press the balls of the big toes down, outer edges of the heels apart, just to loosen all that up. And then we're going to reverse the swan dive and come back to the heart. Let's not break the flow up. So inhale, arms come out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Fingertips on the floor, bend the knees. Going to take 3. Butt goes up, head goes down. Inhale. Utkatasana chair pose variation. Straighten the knees, exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale and lengthen the spine, unround the back, whatever that means to you. I'm going to step back with the right, drop the knee. Set up our frame. So when I say that, it's very geometric, and you're trying to set this up so that alignment matters and alignment works. So make sure the knee is over the ankle, hips are square. I play this formula, strength below, power in the center, and then the grace above. So the grace is the lift, and the lightness and the freedom. Inhaling and exhaling. Oh, I forgot something. Come way up on the ball of the left foot and sit, so you can bring your hands down if you need to. Sit deeply into the left hip, and hopefully you'll feel the right quad. Then when you drop the heel and you bring the arms up, you have already identified that quad, and you can lift out of it. Take the hands behind the back, clasp the palms together, squeeze between the shoulder blades, open up across the collarbones. Keep the elbows soft, hinging and bringing that left shoulder on top of the left knee, or to your edge. Fingertips out in front. You can have that left shoulder drop inside the left knee, so you go really deep into that hip crease. Walk the fingertips over to 2 o'clock for me. And here we are trying to find that SI joint. If you found it, you can lean into it and you can extend out of it. If you're still having a hard time, you can take the left knee out to the left a little bit. What we're looking for is this corner. Couple of breaths. And always unrounding your back. Come back to the center. Both hands on either side of the front foot. Right hand down where the right foot would be. Again, just to learn. You change patterns through repetition, and we're trying to change some patterns here. So you want to keep the knee over the ankle, and we're going to take a twist. So as we twist to the left, find the corner of that right heel, and see if you can come into your lunge. If not, don't worry about it. But you do need to reach through that heel in order to create a very strong back leg. Both hands down, step up. Again, you can abduct. This is your call. Like if your back feels like it got a little tight or it's overworked, always take a moment to abduct. Reverse the swan dive and back to the heart. So let's make our way down to the mat. Let's come into our boat. So we've been practicing this. I'm going to take 5 breaths here. Pull your tummy in on the exhale. It's just an action to be learned. It's an important action to be learned. And then, if you can, take your hands off. 5 breaths, pulling your tummy in. If this is too much, stay here. Because the main thing I want you to learn is how to pull your tummy in on the exhale, not using your hip flexors, right? This is for those of you who want to do a little bit more. We're just going to jackknife. So it's here. You can pick a number. I'm going to do 10. So you guys can follow me. We will count. I'm going to say 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last twist. So we did open quads. Everybody, if this feels a little challenging, don't do it or sit on something. I'm going to sit on something so I can kind of be an example. So one leg's going to be turned under like in that, it's called Virasana. And the other leg is going to be straight. Doesn't really matter which leg. Happens to be my left leg. And we're going to take a long spine to fold forward. And we're going to stay here for 5 breaths. So here, again, finding the corner of the heel, not the balls of the feet, firing up the back of the leg. And every time you change your frame, it's a different experience. So this is a different experience with the right leg turned under. And when we come up, bend that left knee, take a right elbow, hook it. So you want to be careful not to do this. Instead, you're going to press the left knee into the elbow and the elbow into the knee. See how effective pulling your tummy in on the exhale is. And use your breath. One more breath. Switch sides. Fold forward. Oops, I'm not lined up. Hinge it back up. Bend the right knee. Left elbow to right knee. Press the elbow into the knee and the knee into the elbow. Breathe. And you can actually feel how helpful it is when you pull your tummy in on the exhale. One more breath. So I'm just going to take advantage of being on the bolster. You just come to a comfortable seat. Hands to the heart. Again, back to that place of connection, concentration. And let that energy go to your heart. And just because I think it's so needed,
feel what this feels like after using your body, after coordinating your body with your mind. See if you actually feel more present. It just means being here now, not this big, like, I know something you don't know thing. It's just being here in the moment, hearing the sounds and listening to your breath. Going to take thumbs on the inside of the eye sockets at the bridge of the nose. Extend the fingertips out. Breathe into that chakra of the third eye, using your breath. And understanding our place in the universe. We are these little tiny beings in this vast reality. And in a sense, picturing that little person seated inside that third eye in relationship to the vastness of the universe is just a very humbling and realistic understanding. Keep the thumbs together, bring hands over heart. By the way, this is a mudra. It's the freedom mudra. And whatever that means to you. So all these teachings are just ways of adding to your vocabulary and keeping those things at the front of your mind. So freedom in the front of your mind. What does that mean to you? Breathe freely. Let your heart beat freely. You can find freedom within confinement. Speaking of confinement, we're in the midst of practicing that. And then bring the hands out in front, palms up, extending your rich, beautiful energy out, or receiving compassion and love. Back to Anjali Mudra. Fold forward, full circle. And thank you again.